immediately. Now, the days of the 1975 movie Dog Day Afternoon, where the police set up a perimeter around a bank and they throw in a throw phone and they wait for the bank robbers to pick that phone up to talk to them, those days, we've moved past that now. Now, there's a number of different ways that they could communicate. I mean, obviously, they're going to call into the store. They're going to speak to witnesses that have come out and find out if there's other desk numbers or other ways to access. And I'm sure the crisis negotiation team or the hostage negotiators are doing that. The emergency service cops can also use megahorns or bullhorns, and they can call out to the person. But in this situation where it's fluid and dynamic, as a former FBI SWAT team leader, I would want to get inside as quickly as possible. We just simply cannot sit back and wait anymore while somebody could go in there with the intent of ratcheting up a body count, if that's what their intentions are. Now, from the police perspective, this looks like the selection of this venue, this Trader Joe's, was a venue of opportunity. This is not an inside job. It doesn't appear that the individual or individuals that are involved in this from the bad guy perspective had time to select this venue, meaning they knew the layout and they had a plan in place, or there were possibly some obstacles or barricades already in place that they could use to reinforce a door and prevent police from getting in. This was a venue of opportunity, it appears. And if that's the case, that gives the police the opportunity then to move quickly. Do not give the bad guy a chance to set up and hurt more people or to barricade doors or blockade doors. You've got to move to the sound of the guns, Alex. Unfortunately, in the 21st century, this is how law enforcement has to handle these things.
All right, well, if you're just joining us, we are following a possible hostage situation at a Trader Joe's in the Silver Lake area of Los Angeles. James Galliano, Miguel Marquez, stay with me. We'll have much more ahead when we come back.
I was born during the winter of '77. I first met James in 5th grade. We got married after college and had twin boys. But then, one night, a truck didn't stop. But thanks to our Forester, neither did our story. And that's why we'll always drive a Subaru.
Who would have thought? Who would have guessed? An energy company helping cars emit less. Making cars lighter. It's a good place to start. Advanced oils for those hard-working parts. Fuels that go further so drivers pump less. Improving efficiency is what we do best. Energy lives here.
If you live with diabetes, why fingerstick when you can scan? With the Freestyle Libre, a continuous glucose monitoring system, you can check your glucose levels anytime without fingersticks. With the Freestyle Libre system, just scan the sensor and manage your diabetes. You can do it without fingersticks. Freestyle Libre is available with a prescription at participating pharmacies. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
At Outback, there's one way to cook a steak perfectly, and 3 ways for perfect shrimp. Introducing steak and shrimp starting at $15.99. Whether you choose barbecue, garlic butter, or sweet and tangy shrimp, it'll be perfect. And for a perfect Outback meal at home, order now.
Why use the Home Advisor app to find home improvement pros?
I found a great local painter when I was in line at the grocery store.
I read reviews of a few electricians while walking my dog.
I booked a plumber with just a click.
And it's free to use. Go to homeadvisor.com or download the free app.
Find myself in you. I know this love is true. And I never let you go.
Elite Singles, the leading dating site for highly educated singles. Register today to love again at EliteSingles.com.
Let's face it, everyone would love a smartphone these days, but not everyone wants unlimited everything. For people who just need GPS, a good camera, and a few apps, there's TracFone, the original no-contract wireless provider. Smartphone plans start as low as $15, with phones from top brands like Samsung and LG at very affordable prices. TracFone has nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. Available at retailers nationwide. Visit TracFone.com for more information and special offers.
Weapons of mass destruction. Useless.
Change has come to America.
Are the credit cards in your wallet actually the best ones for you? At NerdWallet, we sort through hundreds of credit cards to find the top cards for balance transfer, travel, earning rewards, and other perks. Using your unique info to narrow the search, NerdWallet makes it easy to find credit cards that work harder than the ones you have now. Stop missing out. Visit nerdwallet.com to find the cards that are made for you.
Introducing Pulse. Broken phone? We fix that. New TV to install? We do that. It couldn't be easier. Whether you need a smartphone repaired or a big TV mounted, just tell us where and when. We'll be there in a heartbeat, 7 days a week. Now that's great service. Check us out at Pulse.com. Pulse, for the ups and downs of digital life.
Trump versus the Wild, Alaska, Monday at 7 on CNN.
Closed captioning brought to you by Mesobook.com.
We offer a free book on mesothelioma. Call for the free book and receive so much more. Call 1-800-831-3700.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Welcome back to CNN. I am Alex Marco. We are following breaking news out of Los Angeles, where there may be a possible hostage situation underway at a Trader Joe's in the Silver Lake area of Los Angeles. What you are looking at are delayed aerial photos. I repeat, they are delayed out of sensitivity to possible victims. We have seen people coming out of this store. Right there, what you're looking at are side windows just to the left of the main entrance. People coming out of those windows, going down a rope ladder about, say, 10 or 15 feet. We've seen several people coming out of the side there, as well as at least one person coming out the front, which you can now see on your screen there. That's the main entrance of this Trader Joe's. As people come out of that window, as people come out of that front door, they are running away and running into the arms of police officers who will surely be asking them what they saw, what they heard. So far, all we know from the Los Angeles Police Department is that this is an active incident at the corner of Hyperion Avenue and Griffith Park. They're asking people to please stay clear of the area. As we have been on the air, we have seen the police presence around this Trader Joe's growing. You can see heavily armed police officers right there with their guns drawn. A little bit farther back, the police have established a perimeter. Again, they are heavily armed. They have their bulletproof jackets on. This is clearly an active situation. I want to go back to James Galliano, our law enforcement analyst who spent decades in the FBI, led a SWAT team, worked on hostage rescues. James, what can we take away from the fact, I mean, beyond the very good news that it appears that several people at least have come out of this Trader Joe's unharmed? Is there anything we can learn from that?
Well, I mean, absolutely. Obviously, you count the number of innocent souls that you can save or rescue or get extricated in a situation like that. That's number one. But number two, they are a wealth of human intelligence, and police negotiators and police officers and law enforcement members, they are debriefing those folks right now to find out how many folks are entered the building, what are they armed with, what were their demands? Did they say anything? What the location, the layout of the entire building is, upstairs, downstairs, what the floor plan is, things like that. Are there locked doors, wooden doors, where people could be hiding themselves behind and lock themselves in safely? Questions like that. And Alex, as a former SWAT team leader, we work through these things sequentially, and there's three things in this order that have to be done. The first is crisis resolution. We have to get in there and interdict this and stop the person who's potentially trying to harm innocents. The second is consequence management. God forbid that there's a fire, or God forbid that the person that was perpetrating this had explosive devices where you'd need a bomb squad and those kind of folks. And last, important, but in the chronology of these things, the last thing then is the evidence collection, trying to find out, the who did it and the why. What was their motivation? this venue appears to be a venue of opportunity. Now, I don't know if there was any previous history between the person that was involved in the police pursuit that ended up crashing the vehicle and entering. I don't know if there was previous history there. That would be interesting to be looking up and to find that out. Police can do that by running a license plate and doing all the other kinds of forensic behind-the-scenes work to try to identify who this person is. And police may know who it is. Maybe there was a potential stop and the subject ended up taking off and that caused the police pursuit. But those are all things that are being worked behind the scenes. The main thing right now is to prevent innocent people from getting hurt. You want to get the innocent folks out. You want to attempt to establish communication with the subject if it's a barricaded subject. And if it's not a barricaded subject, but somebody who is acting as an active shooter, meaning that is going about trying to take lives, police have to make entry. You mentioned the folks that are showing up now. Now is when the tactical teams are arriving because they're not the first responders necessarily. They're showing up with the ballistic vests. They're showing up with the potentially the mechanical or explosive breaching techniques that police may need to use to enter, the heavy weaponry, those kind of things. So we're moving into that phase now where we've closed in the perimeter. We've got a tight inner perimeter so we know that none of the subject or the subjects can end up rabbiting out of the place, and then a broader perimeter, the outer perimeter, where you want to make sure you keep all the innocent bystanders away and where you bring all the folks that were potential victims that are now witnesses for their potential debriefings, Alex.
James, we have a little bit more from the ground there. It does sound like this is what you have called a target of opportunity, meaning this was not the intended target. We are learning from the Los Angeles Times that has just tweeted that this incident began as a pursuit from Hollywood. So a reminder, we are in Silver Lake here, that this was a pursuit from Hollywood that ended with a car crashing next to this Trader Joe's. Law enforcement sources telling the LA Times that the gunman, and they only talk about a single gunman, opened fire on police officers and then ran inside the store. We have also confirmed that a 20-year-old female has been taken to what we assume is a nearby hospital, but has been taken to hospital in what they say is fair condition. So that's good news, combined with the fact that we have seen people coming out of this store. James, I want you to help me decipher what I'm looking at. I understand that you can't see these images, but what I am looking at is scores of police officers in their ballistic vests, and we're looking for any glimpses of good news right here. And what I'm seeing is dozens of police officers without their guns drawn, kind of standing around and standing about 50 feet away from the front of this store. Should we assume that their calmer posture means anything? I mean, if this were much more serious, would they all have their guns drawn? If I'm looking at, say, 30 different police officers without their guns drawn, standing about 50 feet back, what does that tell us?
Well, Alex, I always caution our viewers that if you try to distill too much from either aerial shots or video camera footage from the scene, be careful, because just because there might be a relaxed posture on the outside, the police might have put an inner perimeter inside, and maybe they have somebody holed up in an office, but that office is surrounded, so they feel comfortable enough on the outside, the immediate outside of the building, having that as their outer perimeter, and that's a possibility. So I wouldn't read too much into that, thinking that there's some folks that are standing around outside in a relaxed posture, because this is the way we do law enforcement. If you bring one bad guy to the fight, we're bringing 100, and that's what's going to happen. Every law enforcement agency in that area, whether it's the feds, the locals, the state police, they're going to converge on that site, because this started out as a hot pursuit, a police pursuit, which is exceedingly difficult and dangerous for law enforcement, because you take a vehicle and you turn that into a rolling crisis site. The greatest fear we have is that that vehicle rolls into a residential neighborhood, or, as in this instance, crashes into a business, and then the person jumps out of the vehicle and enters that business. Now, the good news is you've gone from a rolling crisis site to a stationary crisis site. The bad news is we don't know yet the motivation. Was this person being pursued because he had committed some heinous crime somewhere else and he thought the police were responding to that, and now he figures that he's got to go out in a blaze of glory? That's a concern and a consideration. Is this person had a grievance there. Now, as you pointed out, it looks like, by all indications, this was a venue of opportunity. He just ended up there after the police pursuit. That helps law enforcement, again, because he's not going to be as familiar with the floor plan, the location, where people are. He obviously probably didn't do a casing job there, but there's still other issues and concerns and considerations. We live in an age of active shooters and mass casualty incidents. We have to automatically presume that's what's going on, Alex, until otherwise ruled out.
And James, as you've been speaking, we saw at least 2 more people, civilians, being run away from the site by police officers. I just want to remind the viewers that what is being reported by the LA Times, the local paper out there, is that this is an incident that ended, or rather the incident started when a car crashed into the store. It was a pursuit from Hollywood, and they're saying that law enforcement there is saying that the gunman opened fire on officers and then ran inside the store. So 2 more people, we think, from that scene. We've seen a number of others coming out from that store, which is all the good news that we have for now. I want to bring in our other CNN law enforcement analyst, Charles Ramsey. He was the former police commissioner in Philadelphia. Charles, when you look at this scene, and I'm looking at a growing law enforcement presence, both medical and police for now, if you're the commissioner in LA, are you just pouring every resource you have into this area?
Well, first of all, I can't see the images. I'm actually in Quebec City, so I don't have the advantage of seeing what's going on. But, you know, you try to get the resources that are needed there as quickly as possible, and then there's always a problem with an over-response where you have too many people there, and that can just cause more congestion and confusion at the scene. The key is to get the right people there as quickly as possible to be able to contain the scene so that the individual cannot get out. If they need to go in and get any additional people out, they have the capacity to be able to do it. It's hard to tell. The initial response, you're going to get a lot of police officers that are going to try to move toward the scene, but supervisors at some point have to take control of it and start making sure that they don't have too many people. You still have another part of the city that has to be covered and protected.
All right, Charles, thank you. I'm getting a little bit of information from my colleague Jordan Gazzardo, who is on the scene. He says that he sees an LAPD Special Weapons and Tactics vehicle that has just arrived, in addition to 7 ambulances, at least 30 LAPD vehicles. And then the officers that he is seeing have their guns drawn and pointed at the Trader Joe's, not small handguns, but a larger type of weapon. I want to turn now to former CIA operative Bob Baer, who is joining us. He trained foreign police forces in hostage rescue. Bob, in a situation like this, what do you do? Do you storm into the store? Do you sit back and wait? Do you try to negotiate? What's the approach?
Right now, there's 2 choices. You can try to negotiate, talk this guy out, and if you can't, you have to prepare what's called a dynamic entry. In order to do that, you have to have good intelligence. You have to know where the shooter is, how many hostages, is he barricaded, is he in a safe, where is he? You have to collect that essential intelligence, either audio or visual, and then you get the SWAT team in place with a lot of explosives, shields and the rest of it, and the right weaponry to outshoot this guy. It doesn't sound like it's particularly going to be difficult. These things usually turn out well unless he's intent upon killing people, killing the hostages. But once you come in, the SWAT teams with a lot of grenades and a lot of weapons, it's over very quickly. But they need to set up and, as I said, collect intelligence. That's really key. You know, this guy probably doesn't have explosives. He doesn't have automatic weapons. But you still need that intelligence to make sure there are no casualties, because in a dynamic entry, it's not to kill the shooter, but to save the hostages.
Right. We do know that he's armed. The LA Times, again, reporting that the gunman opened fire on officers and then ran into the store. We do have CNN's Jordan Gazzardo on the line. He is at that Trader Joe's in Silver Lake, where we continue to follow this possible hostage situation. Jordan, what are you seeing? What are you hearing?
I am at the intersection of Griffith Park Boulevard and Hyperion, which is just south of the Trader Joe's, and I saw multiple Los Angeles Fire Department ambulances, at least 7 from what I could see, They just brought in a LAPD Special Weapons and Tactics Command vehicle, and also there were LAPD that were crouched behind their vehicles and pointed towards the Trader Joe's with their larger firearms, not their typical the issued
Pistols.
handguns or whatever. But
Right.
that's from what I could see from my vantage point. I've been told that PIOs will be giving an update, and I'm
Spokespeople?
trying to now. I've just gotten in my vehicle to try to get to the location where they're going to be speaking. So as far as just eyes on the ground there, that's exactly what I'm seeing, or what I had seen was just heavy police presence and also aerial support from LAPD.
All right, well, if you're just joining us here in the U.S. and around the world, we are following a situation in Silver Lake, an area of Los Angeles just north of downtown L.A. at a Trader Joe's grocery store where we believe there is a possible hostage situation underway. We have seen several people coming out of that store. We have seen people running away with police officers. All we know now from law enforcement is that there is an active police incident. They're asking people to please stay clear of this area. The LA Times is reporting that this began as a pursuit from Hollywood, which ended with a car crashing next to the store. Law enforcement telling the Times that a gunman opened fire on officers and then ran inside the store. So that does sound like what James Galliano has been calling a target of opportunity. We also know that a 20-year-old female has been taken to a hospital in fair condition. I want to go back to our Miguel Marquez, who's on the phone, who lives in this area, has shot. Excuse me, we're going to go to Bob Baer, who, as I mentioned just a moments ago, he has trained foreign police forces in hostage rescue. Bob, if you're looking at these images with me, what are the police forces trying to do at this point? Are they trying to get in touch with the hostage taker there? Are they looking to move in? What is going through their minds?
Well, right now they're calling him, and they want to get him on the phone as quickly as they can, let him know this is not going to end well. The LAPD is very good at this. This occurs over and over again, and they want to talk him out of there. They want to convince him, calm him down, that there's no point in shooting anybody, that any shootout with the LAPD is going to end very quickly and very badly. In the meantime, they're giving their guys time to set up. Back doors are probably locked. They're going to have to breach those. If he's in a room and holed up, they're going to have to breach a wall there. And if the shooting starts, for any reason, they're going to all have to move in very quickly. But right now, they've got it contained. They've got the guy holed up. And I would imagine he's got at least a couple hostages. But that's what the LAPD is trying to find out now. And they're debriefing everybody who's coming out of there to figure out what's going on. Again, it's intelligence right now and calming down the situation as fast as they can.
Yeah, and what we're looking at now from new aerial pictures is police putting up police tape even farther away from this Trader Joe's grocery store, establishing a perimeter even farther away. Charles Ramsey, you used to run the Pennsylvania Police Department. Is there anything such as a classic hostage situation? If this is a situation where the hostage taker was fleeing and went into this Trader Joe's because he couldn't go any farther, is there any classic situation? Is this guy looking to take people down with him? Would he likely release people and have a shootout? What are the various situations that we're looking at here?
Well, I mean, it's very difficult to tell. Obviously, it looks like this was a target of opportunity. He had a crash. He saw Trader Joe's. He ran inside. A lot of people ran out. The more people he's trying to hold hostage, the more difficult it is for him. I wouldn't doubt if he had a handful of people, which is 2 or 3, if that many right now. But there is no classic situation. I mean, everyone is different. All I've heard so far is very accurate. They're trying to make contact with this individual, get their negotiators there, get the right equipment and officers there. So if they have to breach, if they have to go in, they've got the right people there to be able to do it. shutting down traffic, getting as many people away from the scene as humanly possible, and trying to contain it. This is a guy who's probably in a panic state of mind right now. He didn't plan on being there necessarily, so you don't really know what he's going to do. The fact that he did take a couple shots at police officers tells you that he's very capable of violence. Hopefully, this isn't something where he's looking to harm anyone else, and but you have to be guarded. You have to be prepared for that sort of thing. So right now, the key is to try to make contact and talk this guy out. And if he does have additional people, hopefully get him out of there unharmed. I don't like the fact you got so many ambulances there. I don't know if they've got any information that you've got people that are injured, or if they're just there on standby just in case. But let's hope it gets resolved with no one getting injured, but you have to be prepared for everything.
Yeah, from our Jordan Gazzardo, we understand that there are at least 7 ambulances on the scene. I want to read you an update from the LAPD. This is from Officer Mike Lopez. He tells us that at 1:30 p.m. local, so that was around 3.5 hours ago, there was a shooting that occurred at the 1600 block of 32nd Street. A victim was an elderly woman and a young lady. The suspect fled in a 4-door 2015 Camry. Hollywood Division of LAPD saw the vehicle and suspect and went in pursuit. During the pursuit, the suspect fired multiple rounds at officers. None of the officers were injured. The pursuit ended near the 2700 block of Hyperion, close to Silver Lake Trader Joe's. The suspect crashed into a pole and fled into the Trader Joe's. So this was a suspect who was fleeing a shooting that he had carried out. One of the victims was an elderly woman and the other a young lady. So that is just now from the LAPD. Jordan Gazzardo, you are still on the scene. What are you seeing now?
Is it okay to... Okay. All right, great.
Jordan, can you hear me?
Here? Okay.
Jordan?
All right. Yeah, hi there, sorry.
Now, I understand it's a very fluid situation. I appreciate you trying to get as close as possible, but also, obviously, we wanted you to say as safe as possible. What are you seeing outside of this Trader Joe's?
Well, I've moved up just a bit. I'm just, again, trying to get towards where they're going to be giving an update. I'm seeing, again, I'm actually standing right by Los Angeles Fire Department ambulance. Also, the number I can count, at least right now, is about 5, just from where I stand. Again, heavy police presence. There's the LAPD tactical command van that's set up, and multiple fire engines as well. Oh, sorry, step back. Yeah, sorry. I got to step back behind the line. Yeah, from my vantage point right now. Oh, thank you. That's what I can give you. Earlier, when I was just south of the Trader Joe's, there were LAPD that were crouched behind their vehicles with they had their guns drawn towards the Trader Joe's. But I've since moved, and again, I'm just trying to get closer to where they would be giving an update. So that's what I can see. And I am staying safe, so just staying behind the police line. And yeah, that's what I can at least give you right now.
Well, that's very helpful, and please do stay safe and let us know when you've got something more. Bob Baer, back to you. Now that we have a bit more information from the LAPD confirming that this was the end of a pursuit, which we knew, but that the suspect had already carried out a shooting in Hollywood. Again, there were 2 victims, an elderly and a younger lady. Bob, does this make him more desperate? Does this make him more dangerous?
This makes him more dangerous. If he's willing to shoot it out with the police, that's not a good sign. If he says he's going to execute hostages, they're going to take him seriously. And I would imagine right now the SWAT team is moving as fast as they can. And, you know, you'd say, well, maybe we should send the police in, the patrols in right now. But these tactical teams spend a lot of time in kill houses. They know what they're doing. And they come in with flashbang grenades. And they just overwhelming force. And that's what's the safest thing for the hostages, and that's what they're planning right now. No question about it.
All right, well, we're learning a little bit more from the LAPD. They just tweeted moments ago that we can confirm that there is an active barricaded suspect within a Trader Joe's in Silver Lake, an active TAC alert, so tactical alert, has been declared to ensure all resources necessary will be available. Please continue to stay clear of the area. Charles Ramsey, what kind of resources does this scene require? What do they need? Who's heading there now?
Well, obviously the SWAT team, hostage negotiators, and depending on the situation as they evaluate it on the ground, they'll bring in additional people. You've got to have, obviously, traffic control and containment. But right now, I think SWAT is probably taking charge, and they're the ones that will determine what assets are going to be needed to be brought in so that they can resolve the situation as quickly as they can.
Bob, you were involved in training foreign police forces. I imagine a grocery store is a fairly classic situation when you're talking about a hostage crisis. So if you're thinking about a small Trader Joe's with, let's say, a dozen aisles, little ability for the people inside to get out except for the front door, though we have seen people coming out the side window, what are you hoping that the people inside are doing?
I hope they're crawling out. Certainly when the SWAT team comes in, they're going to be looking for them, anybody that's hiding. They're going to be coming in with night vision goggles if the lights are off, and they will turn the lights off. They will turn the electricity off. It'll be dark in there when they go in. That'll give the police an advantage. But it's mainly right now locating the shooter and getting plans for that Trader Joe's so they know how to get in very quickly. And especially if he starts shooting or executing hostages, they're going to have to move right away. There's no question about it. This guy sounds pretty desperate to me. But then again, if he's just run in there, he hasn't planned to resist. He's at a definite disadvantage. I train people in terrorist situations where the terrorists set up to fight back against a hostage rescue squad. So this should be quite a bit easier. But nonetheless, it's not going to be easy on this short a moment to get in there.
Charles Ramsey, back to you. What Bob was just saying, I mean, he's desperate, that he is dangerous. This is someone who is fleeing another scene. So if you are shouting through a bullhorn into the store, or if you're able to get him on the phone, what do you say to someone like that to not only make sure that he doesn't hurt anyone else, but that he comes out alive?
Well, it's not just what you say. It's also listening to him and kind of letting him kind of talk to you a little bit, try to calm him down the best you can, find out what it is that's going on, what he needs. Has he been injured? Is anybody else in there injured? I mean, you need to just try to establish lines of communication and some level of trust, if you will, between the negotiator and this individual so you can begin to talk him down. I mean, he didn't plan on being in Trader Joe's at this particular moment. Now, he committed a double shooting. You don't know whether this was a robbery gone bad. Could it have been domestic related? I mean, you don't know at this point in time exactly what it is you have. But you do know you've got a guy that's armed. He's already shot 2 people. He's shot at police, very capable of being violent. So you try to resolve it the best you can. So there's a lot going on right now in terms of the conversation. They're going to try to get as good a picture of what's going on inside as they possibly can. How many people are there? Are you holding people? I mean, all those kinds of things. They got to try to find out. In the meantime, as Bob said, people are looking at the layout of the place. They're looking at blueprints. They're trying to figure out what's the best point of entry. They have to go in. But if they don't have to go in, if they can get this guy to come out and nobody is harmed, that's really the best outcome. That's really the best outcome.
Best case scenario. Again, the LAPD is saying that they can confirm that there's an active barricaded suspect inside that Trader Joe's that you are looking at. We will have much more. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Changes? I've had a few. Most impactful, my hair color.
Garnier Nutrice nourishes while you color. Plus avocado, olive, and shea oils.
Changing my hair color changed everything.
Nutrice. Nourished hair, better color.
It's the summer of Jeep. Time to get out there in the redesigned Jeep Cherokee. Or the Jeep Compass.
Mike said, "Hey guys, almost at Vista Point."
With legendary capability and the ultimate in-car experience, who knows where the adventure will take you. Connect with great deals on the official vehicles of summer. Get 0% financing for 60 months plus $1,000 bonus cash on 2019 Jeep Cherokee models.
Friends, colleagues, gathered here are the world's finest insurance experts. Rodney, mastermind of discounts like Safe Driver, Paperless, the list goes on.
How about a discount for long lists?
Gold. Mara, you save our customers hundreds for switching almost effortlessly. It's a gift. And Jamie.
Present.
Together, we are unstoppable. So, what are we gonna do? Insurance. That's kind of what we do here.
Seeing is revealing. Seeing is believing. Your sight is a gift. Help protect it with a yearly exam from your eye doctor. Find an eye doctor today at thinkaboutyoureyes.com.
So gonna get
Worry-free getaway service. Brought to you by ADT. Smart security designed and installed just for you.
You shouldn't be rushed into booking a hotel. With Expedia's add-on advantage, booking a flight unlocks discounts on select hotels until the day you leave for your trip. Add-on advantage. Only when you book with Expedia.
Baby boomers, here's something you should know. There's a serious virus out there that 1 in 30 boomers has, yet most don't even know it. A virus that's been almost forgotten. It's hepatitis C. Hep C can hide in the body for years without symptoms. Left untreated, it can lead to liver damage, even liver cancer. The only way to know if you have Hep C is to ask your healthcare provider for the simple blood test. If you have Hep C, it can be cured. For us, it's time to get tested. It's the only way to know for sure.
If you have recurring constipation and belly pain, talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Yes. Linzess treats adults with IBS with constipation or chronic constipation. Linzess can help relieve your belly pain and lets you have more frequent and complete bowel movements. See if you're eligible to get 90 days for as little as $30. Do not give Linzess to children less than 6, and it should not be given to children 6 to less than 18. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. So say yes to help for recurring constipation. Yes to help for belly pain. Talk to your doctor and say yes, Linzess.
This isn't a liner. Well, to be clear, it's an invisible aligner from Smile Direct Club. Our aligners take teeth like these and transform them into those. They discreetly take this and turn it into that. We send your aligners directly to you, and in an average of 6 months, you could have a lifetime supply of confidence. Join more than 250,000 satisfied groaners who got a smile they love for only $80 a month at SmileDirectClub.com.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Welcome back. I'm Alex Marquardt. We're continuing to follow breaking news out of Los Angeles, California, specifically the Silver Lake area of Los Angeles, just north of downtown, where there appears to be a hostage situation underway at a Trader Joe's grocery store. What we do know from the Los Angeles Police Department is that there is a barricaded man inside. How this all started was in Hollywood, where a shooter carried out a shooting against an elderly woman and a young lady at around 1:30 p.m. local time. So that was just about 4 hours ago. He then drove and was pursued by the police around 12 minutes rather. So that's just under about 5 miles to this Trader Joe's. He had an accident and went running into this store, firing his weapon at the police officers who are in pursuit. We have been following this story from the ground and from the air. What you're looking at right now are aerial pictures from our affiliates. We have seen people coming out, civilians, shoppers coming out with their hands up out of that front door, and also from side windows, coming down ladders into the arms of police officers who are presumably debriefing them now about the suspect who is barricaded inside. We do not know how many more people are inside. We know that one person, a young woman who is 20 years old, was taken to the hospital in fair condition. We have seen a growing law enforcement presence. We have seen a growing number of ambulances. We have seen police setting up a perimeter farther and farther away as they presumably figure out how to get in touch with this shooter, how to figure out how many people are inside, and how to get those people out safely. So that is the latest. We have just heard from President Trump, who has tweeted, "Watching Los Angeles possible hostage situation very closely. Active barricaded suspect. LAPD working with federal law enforcement." So that is the first mention we have of local law enforcement working now with federal law enforcement. I wanted to go to CNN's national correspondent Miguel Marquez, who lives in Los Angeles. He is on his way to the scene. Miguel, you live around here. You have shopped at this store. What can you tell us about the area? What can you tell us about the store?
Yeah, this is my local Trader Joe's. It's not a huge store by American standards. This is 5,000, maybe 6,000 square feet. There are smaller aisles, but there are lots of places. The produce aisle has lots of places where one could take cover. It is very good to hear that people are exiting the store, but clearly this is of great concern. It is every Angelino's fear to hear the helicopters overhead, to know that there is a police chase on, to know that there is somebody who is possibly dangerous, and then they wind up on your doorstep. This sounds a lot like that. The area, the 1600 block of 32nd Street, is near USC. It's not that far from this Trader Joe's, maybe without traffic, a 15, 20-minute drive. Police picked him up very quickly. He crashed into a pole, apparently, disabling his car, and then that's when he took shelter in a Trader Joe's. Many people came out. Fortunately, that one person who has been transported from the Trader Joe's, she was injured in her car or in the parking lot. It's not clear if perhaps that was part of the of her trying to get out of that area, but very good to hear that people are actually getting out of it. This is a very, very busy Trader Joe's. There's another grocery store, a somewhat bigger one, right across the street from it. It's a very heavily trafficked area, sort of between Hollywood and downtown Los Angeles. Just shocking that this would be happening on a Saturday afternoon in this area, but this is the world that we live in.
Yeah, right. This is the world that we live in. Of course, this comes on the heels of other shootings in Parkland and Santa Fe and Las Vegas. There are no reports. We have to underline right now there's no indication that anyone has been killed. We only know that one person has been wounded, a woman who was taken to the hospital in fair condition. And Miguel, just because you have shopped here and we're looking at these pictures of people coming out of windows in very dramatic fashion, climbing down these flimsy ladders with police waiting for them at the bottom. Is there a second floor? Do you have any sense of what they're small windows? They look like office windows. Do you have any sense of where these people would be coming from, or is it all on one floor?
It is very likely there is a second floor. So there's not a second floor for shopping, I will tell you that, but most Trader Joe's do have an area above the main shopping floor for the offices and possibly for more stock. So it's possible they have a second floor there that would be for employees only. It's also surrounded by a parking lot, so it doesn't back up to anything. It's surrounded by a parking lot, and the trucks that service the store would be coming in from that backside as well. So there are probably many places for them to escape from on that backside as well. So one only hopes that there are no other people in there, but it is there are. The other thing about Trader Joe's is that they always have tons of staff there, so it is very likely that they were able to have staff to direct people to exits and to those windows and other places that they could find either shelter or escape.
All right, Miguel, we have gotten some sound in from eyewitnesses at the scene. Let's take a listen to them.
So once you got out, you just ran in every direction to try to...
No, but you don't run in every direction. You guide the people to where you need to have them go. It's important to control the crowd. That way you can eliminate some of the fear factor and crazy emotions. So,
but there's still people, still workers,
I don't know. I'm assuming. It's an assumption. I can't speak for... You'd have to speak to LAPD on
Well, as that man highlighted right there, very few details both on the ground and here. James Galliano, we were just listening to Miguel Marquez talk about the layout of the store, what it looks like, what those windows might be. Obviously, by this point, and this has been going on for some time now, the local authorities there on the scene have very much figured out what the layout of that store is. Where people would be able to get out, where the law enforcement would be able to go in. James, you've been talking about how this was a target of opportunity, essentially because this man was fleeing. He saw the Trader Joe's and went inside. Now, because this is not clearly premeditated, this is not a premeditated hostage situation, can you say that one is worse than the other? If you're a hostage negotiator and you're trying to get these people out, is this better because this was not planned?
Well, Alex, let's look at what we've learned just in the course of the last hour since we've been talking and since we've been watching this. So intelligence is a very valuable currency for tactical commanders. And right now we know that we have a barricaded subject who has committed 2 attempted murders. Now, that person right now, unless he's watching the news, does not know that the 2 people that he shot at or shot did not expire. So now he believes he just committed 2 murders. Police are in hot pursuit. Desperation level has to be off the chart. So that's a major consideration. The second thing, I want to distill this down for the viewers. You have to understand there's a huge difference between a hostage situation and a barricaded subject. Hostage situation changes everything for me. It means if the person is not in good faith negotiating, they don't want us to release political prisoners. They don't want a jet to Aruba or Turks and Caicos or, unmarked bills, and millions of dollars in a briefcase. If they don't want that and they take hostages, it's with the intent to hurt or maim or kill people. Then, as a tactical commander, once we get the go, and I've heard a couple of your other law enforcement analysts say the same thing, we're using speed, surprise, violence of action, and a breach, a fail-safe breach to get inside to make sure we get on this person as quickly as possible. But what I heard from the police statement, what you read earlier, Alex, they're calling it a barricaded situation. That does not indicate hostages. As soon as that happens, police take a deep breath. The calculus changes, okay? We keep our perimeter. We keep the pressure up. We want to bring in as much law enforcement, as many armored vehicles, and as many heavy hardware as we have. And we want to now be patient. There's no exigent circumstances to go in there and put people in harm's way if it's just a barricaded subject. So as we get more information, that is going to be a critical piece in this, because barricaded subject, I now have time to plan for a deliberate assault, and I can take my time, let the negotiators reach out, and take my time. Hostage situation, I now have to be ready to go in at a moment's notice. So the intelligence we're getting, that is critical, valuable currency, and I think the police obviously have a lot more of it right now than we do, but with what we have, take a deep breath, step back. If it's not a hostage situation and people aren't being murdered, then let's take a deep breath and let's let this play out. Contain and negotiate will be the strategy, Alex.
And James, that is why we are so reliant on your expertise to parse these words, what limited information we have from law enforcement. We're going to take a quick break. We'll have more on this developing story when we come back.
Grubhub is a delivery app that lets you order from all your favorite local restaurants. So you can order this, or maybe a little bit of this. Order from over 80,000 restaurants nationwide. Grubhub, restaurants you love, delivered.
The Mitsubishi Motors Summer Season Pass sales event. 0% financing for 72 months. And no payments for 90 days on select models. Hurry into your local Mitsubishi Motors dealer for our award-winning line of vehicles. Exciting offers end July 31st.
There's not a crumb in this house, and yet I still find bugs.
Insects aren't always looking for food. Sometimes they look for a place to lay their eggs. That's why I'll create a plan using the latest science to keep your home from becoming their maternity ward.
All right, I brought in high protein to help get us moving and help you feel more strength and energy in just 2 weeks. I'll take that.
Ensure high protein with 16 grams of protein and 4 grams of sugar. Ensure.
Behr Marquee presents It's Got Potential.
I think it'll look really good without the stripes.
Whatever your home may hand you, bear through it in one coat. Behr Marquee, #1 rated interior paint. Find it exclusively at the Home Depot.
Online dating? I know people meet that way, but where would I even begin?
Open laptop? Go to OurTime.com. Look for free. It's easy to take a look on OurTime, the fastest growing dating site for people over 50.
With TripAdvisor, finding your perfect hotel at the lowest price is as easy as dates, deals, done. Simply enter your destination and dates and see all the hotels for your stay. TripAdvisor searches over 200 booking sites to show you the lowest prices, so you can get the best deal on the right hotel for you. Dates, deals, done. TripAdvisor. Visit tripadvisor.com.
Paying too much for insurance you don't even understand? Well, Esurance makes it simple and affordable. In fact, drivers who switched from Geico to Esurance saved an average of $412. That's auto and home insurance for the modern world. Esurance, an Allstate company. Click or call. Paying too much for insurance that isn't the right fit? Well, Esurance makes finding the right coverage easy. In fact, drivers who switched from Geico to Esurance saved an average of $412. That's auto and home insurance for the modern world. Esurance, an Allstate company. Click or call.
Why all the glum faces?
Gay marriage will be an issue in the election campaigns ahead.
The taxpayers were handing money over to the bankers.
What Bush did was prevent a second Great Depression.
He says there's going to be a surge of troops in Iraq. The surge proved remarkably effective.
New Orleans essentially been swept off the map.
Person after person saying, where is the federal government?
The Bush administration was asleep at the switch.
Brownie, you're doing a heck of a job.
The 2000s, tomorrow at 9 on CNN.
We are ready to kick it off.
I think we're about to get the season started.
So here we go.
Hitting on all cylinders right now, aren't they?
Did you see that? That is highlight reel stuff. CFL football at its wildest.
This season just keeps getting better and better.
The kaiju. They're gonna come back.
You better gear up.
This is our time to make a difference. Do you understand? Jaeger pilots, do you understand?
One way to find out.
History of Comedy, Sketch and Improv, tomorrow at 10.
Pitch.
Closed captioning brought to you by Mesobook.com.
We offer a free book on mesothelioma. Call for the free book and receive so much more. Call 1-800-831-3700.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Welcome back. We are continuing to follow breaking news out of Los Angeles, where there is a barricaded suspect, the LAPD says, at a Trader Joe's in the Silver Lake area of this city. This follows a shooting in nearby Hollywood, less than 5 miles away, where the suspect, who is now barricaded inside this Trader Joe's, shot an elderly woman and a young lady and then fled. The police followed in pursuit. The suspect then ended up here at this Trader Joe's, crashing his car, shooting at officers. We know that at least one woman, not an officer, was wounded lightly and has been taken to a nearby hospital in what the authorities are calling fair condition. We are just learning that a manager at Gelson's Market, which is just across the street from the Trader Joe's, said that people inside the market heard shots fired from the outside. Many people yelled and dropped to the floor, she told us. The manager did not want to give us her name. No one was inside that Gelson's Market. No one inside there was hurt, according to this manager. The store is currently on lockdown. We know that the law enforcement has set up a wide perimeter around there. Customers are allowed to exit through the back of the building. We have been speaking to a number of eyewitnesses. I want to go to one of them now, Miguel Trujillo. If you're on the line, you saw what you believe was this gunman, was this suspect firing on the police.
Well, it's not what I believe. It was in plain sight. It was yards in front of me, and he ran out. He got out of his car quickly, and the cops fired at him, and he then fired at them. And in that instant moment, he went running into Trader Joe's. It wasn't surreal to me. It was. I really did intake it, but it was a pulsating feeling of I need to survive. Like, I'm an actual threat. And I went in behind a car. There was a man that was about to get off to go shopping into Trader Joe's. His family was beginning to come out, and he told them just go inside, stay inside. And then he happened to escape this whole scene. But I was walking home, so I had to walk into the dry cleaners, which is part of the same building of Trader Joe's. It's right next to Trader Joe's, and I was just grateful that that building has very, very, very thick cement, because I was dreading that bullets were going to come through. That was my biggest fear, that bullets were going to come through, because it was something very violent, and it was something very, very violent and very, very dangerous. It was very threatening.
I'm sure it was, and we're very glad that you're safe. Miguel, you're the first person we've spoken with who's gotten eyes on this suspect. Can you describe him for us?
He is a buff, sexy black guy with dreads, and he's maybe like 6, if not 5'11". He's around 6 feet. He's really buff, and that's it. He ran fast. He got out of there.
Was he shouting anything? Was he screaming at people?
He wasn't. I mean, from everything that I saw, from the moment he came out of his car to the moment he went into Trader Joe's, it was just a second. And no, he wasn't shouting. He was very focused in getting out of the area, out of like the cops' vision, their view. He just got out. He wasn't screaming or anything. It was all in the exchange of bullets was all in an instant. It was all in a moment. I should have reacted a lot quicker and gone behind that car a lot sooner, but he didn't shout. He didn't do anything. He didn't even turn his back much. It seemed like he was a pro at this already. Like, he picked up, when he got out of his car, he got out of his car backwards. Or no, his back was facing the cops, and I think maybe he turned once when he shot, but it didn't seem like all the way, and he ran to Trader Joe's, and then that was it. That was what I saw.
Miguel, I want you to stay on the line. We have some updates from the Los Angeles Police Department. Excuse me, this is not from the LAPD, this is from the LA Times. The gunman is believed to be inside that Trader Joe's, they write in this tweet, and might be wounded. Law enforcement sources are telling the paper that they do not believe that he was holding hostages, but said there still might be some people who are hiding in the store. But we understand the police are briefing right now. Let's listen in.
Over the fire right now, and they have a statement taken.
The Los Angeles Fire Department, first of all, it's David Ortiz, D-A-V-I-D, O-R-T-I-Z, Public Information Officer, Los Angeles Fire Department. Los Angeles Fire Department was dispatched to assist LAPD at 3:30 this afternoon to the 2700 block of Hyperion Avenue in the Silver Lake community. Thus far, the LA Fire Department has transported one female patient in stable condition. At this moment, we have 18 ambulances assigned to this incident with over 100 firefighters. That is all the information I have to release at this time. Thank you.
Right now, we know we have people inside. We simply don't know how many. Again, very early. This is preliminary information, and we're trying to bring this to an end. At this time, we simply don't know. Okay, again, we have our resources here to provide assistance once we can get in there and clear this place. But right now, we have a barricaded suspect, and he is armed, and we can't get in there right now. Again, trying to get the suspect to surrender and bring this to a peaceful conclusion. Yes, an unknown number of people have been...
You guys, real quickly, we got to let you know the fire department is going to need this entire area for their rescue ambulances. So I'm going to ask...
Well, we've been listening to both the LA Fire Department and the LAPD briefing very briefly their reporters. They were saying they don't know how many people are still inside, but that the suspect is armed. He is still inside. We just spoke with an eyewitness who said that he was a young African-American male. I want to bring Bob Baer back in. Bob, now that we've gathered a little bit more information, and James Galliano was making this very important point right before the last break, the LAPD is calling this saying that the suspect is barricaded. They have not used the word hostage. So that sounds like it's good news that we're talking about one individual who may not be holding hostages.
Yeah, I hope he's just barricaded, and people are making their way out, and they're not visible to him. But the police don't know that at this point for certain. They just don't know when he's going to move into a room where there's potential hostages and the rest of it. They're back to collecting information. I think that if they decide that he's barricaded, they'll move on him fairly quickly, and especially if he's wounded, they'll want to get him out of there. But again, it's a fluid situation, and it's hard to describe how chaotic a big store is when you got an armed gunman in there ready to shoot at you. And you still have people in there who may be safe or they may not.
Right. So that is what we are hearing. There are people inside the store still. As you mentioned, it's very fluid. We don't know if they're being held or they're simply hiding in there. We do know that the gunman is still in that store. He's armed. He had fled from nearby Hollywood after carrying out a shooting that wounded, as far as we know, 2 women, 1 elderly and 1 younger, and then drove this just under 5 miles to this Trader Joe's where he is barricaded inside. I want to go to another eyewitness who has since gone a little bit farther away from the scene. His name is Devin Field. Devin, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Devin, what did you see?
I was arriving at the Trader Joe's, walking into the parking lot from up the street when a bunch of about 5 cop cars drove past me up the street in pursuit of someone that I didn't see, and I heard some pops of some gunfire. And then the gunman's car came from behind me, and looked like it had damage to the front bumper. It was hanging about halfway off, and he was trying to turn, but the traffic kind of kept him from going anywhere. He didn't really have anywhere to go, so he crashed his car into that pole and jumped out of his car, and he had a pistol in his hand and just started opening fire on the police behind him. At which point I dove behind a small retaining wall at the edge of the parking lot. He was maybe 10, 15 yards from me. I lay down there with my back against the wall when 3 LAPD officers came, ran up and knelt behind the wall right next to me and opened fire on the gunman. Then he returned fire on them, so they got down on the ground to protect themselves.
And as far as you saw, sorry, keep going.
At that point, I think he had gone inside the store, and after he was inside the store for a little while, they had me crawl away from the scene and then run away around the corner.
And from what you saw, all of the gunfire was directed towards the police officers?
It appeared that way, because he was shooting at about a 45-degree angle away from me. I was kind of closer behind him, but he was aiming out into the street, so it seemed as if he was returning fire at the police officers, but I didn't get the best look at that.
And from your vantage point, I understand that you were trying to take cover and keep yourself safe. He fled into the store. It's not like he was pointing the gun at people who were shopping and trying to round them up and get them into the store. He was just fleeing away from the police.
That's what it seemed like. I didn't see him grab anyone or take anyone inside. At that point, I didn't have a line of sight on him, so I don't know. But it seemed like he was just running into the store after crashing in front of it.
Can you describe the gunman? We heard from another eyewitness moments ago that he was a young African-American male, that he moved quickly. He looked like he knew what he was doing. Was there anything else that stood out to you?
No, that all sounds accurate. Yeah, African-American male.
And where are you right now? All right, we've lost Devin Field. Bob Baer, are you still with us? All right, well, we're just going to take a quick break. Oh, we have Bob Baer. Okay, Bob, We just heard from an eyewitness who said that he saw a young man running into the store. Describe for us now, we're trying to parse what limited information we do have. That this young man, we understand, is barricaded inside. We also know that there are other people inside, but we don't know whether they're being held hostage or whether they just haven't gotten out yet and are hiding. So if you are the person leading this effort on the ground right now, what are you directing your forces to do?
You're interrogating or questioning, all the witnesses, because they're all going to have a different story. They were all panicking. They're inherently unreliable. Yes, the first witnesses saw him running in, but it's the witnesses closer to the center of the store or even the second floor who are going to have a different version. So you're going to have to go through them and figure out who's the most reliable and figure out where this guy is. The police may know where he is now and may know whether he has a hostage, but I think it's really too early to find out. And again, going back, they really like to know that there's nobody around him, that it's safe to go and take him down, because the whole intent of this is to lose nobody, not a single person, either killed or wounded, and they'll do everything they can to make sure when they do the entry that no one gets hurt.
That's a very important differentiation. We have heard from the president who tweeted about this possible hostage situation and that he's watching it very closely. He said that federal law enforcement is working with local law enforcement, so we can assume, although we don't know this right now, but we can assume from past instances, right, Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, that it would be ATF and FBI. Who else would be on the scene?
FBI particularly. They have a SWAT squad in L.A. It's not the main one in Washington, D.C. So they have people on the ground, and they will have deployed by now, and they will be assisting the LAPD. LAPD, I would imagine, is going to take point right now, but anything they need, they're going to step in, and they also have teams that could do an entry as well if they needed them.
And because we know that this suspect, and this is the LAPD did not correct the president when they retweeted him when he called it a hostage situation. So they're still allowing for the fact that this is indeed a hostage situation. What LAPD has said is that when officers went in pursuit of a suspect wanted in connection to a shooting, the suspect barricaded himself inside the Trader Joe's. So knowing that the suspect has already shot at police and shot at these two women earlier, how does that change the calculus of the police officers either trying to reach out and speak with this suspect or the SWAT teams that may be going in to try to confront him?
Well, if he's going to pick up the phone, you want to hear if there's any people around him, of course. I mean, that's very obvious. But right now, again, I go back, they absolutely cannot be sure he doesn't have anybody. And if this guy is willing to shoot at the police over an extended gun battle, somebody like that is going to grab a hostage at some point, and that's the assumption. And then, so that when he does talk to the police, says, I've got people, and he takes those hostages and puts them around him to fend off an assault. That's the assumption the police are working on right now, and it's the absolute correct one. That's the way you want to do it. No casualties in a takedown like this.
Right. So barricaded doesn't necessarily mean that the gunman is alone. We do know from the LAPD that people are inside there barricaded with the gunman. I want to go to CNN's Miguel Marquez, who has just arrived on the scene. And Miguel, you and I have covered lots of stories like this, but for you, this one hits particularly close to home. This is where you live. What are you seeing?
This is personal. Well, look, I can ride my bike to this Trader Joe's, so this is very personal. I want to show you a little bit here. The Trader Joe's is off in the distance there. You can see it. There is a bank of police cars, ambulances, and lots of police presence all up and down this street. The front doors for this Trader Joe's is on the other side of that white building that you can see. There's a big parking lot that then wraps all the way around. And then if you come back this way, there is a strip mall here, and in that strip mall there there are a heavy police presence, but also lots of people who have been coming out of that Trader Joe's and telling us their stories, as well as a lot of local press in that area as well. That is very, very close to the Trader Joe's, and the parking lot for this Trader Joe's wraps around that back side. Some of the windows that you may have seen people coming out of appears, at least from this side, to either be off this half roof that they have there or off the back side of the building altogether. It does look like there is a second floor there, and it probably is used for employees, so there are lots of places for people to move to. Just an extraordinarily heavy police presence. Both the ATF, Alcohol, Tobacco and Firearms, and FBI have offered their assistance and services to LAPD. LAPD does seem to have this in hand at the moment, starting at about 1:30 Pacific time with a double shooting near USC, if the address is correct. There's a couple of different 32nd Streets, but this one was probably downtown, 15-20 minute drive from here. And then officers from the Hollywood division picked him up. That individual then crashed into a pole in front of this Trader Joe's, and I'm actually crossing the street here to see if I can actually see where that is. Hard to see where that may have happened, but there is another large grocery store across the street from this Trader Joe's, and it is just an area that would have been extraordinarily busy. Fantastic news that many people are getting out. Very concerning that there's a barricade with possible hostages in there.
Yeah, Miguel, just judging from where you're standing, we've been watching the scene for about an hour and a half now. It does look like the police have pushed people back and pushed the press back. What Miguel is referencing there, for if the viewers are just tuning in, is that we have seen a number of people, shoppers, coming out of that Trader Joe's, not just from that front entrance with their hands up, at least one person. We've seen several people coming out from a side, which you can't see from this angle right here, but side windows about 15 or so feet off the ground. Miguel, who has shopped there in the past, explained that there might be a second floor. Miguel, you have someone there?
Yeah, we have Jason Kravarik, who is a producer with CNN. You've been over in this area speaking to people coming out of this Trader Joe's. What are they saying?
Well, what's happening over there right now, Miguel, is employees are reuniting. There's about a dozen standing over there, and they are hugging, embracing. They're teary-eyed. I managed to speak with one of them who just got out he actually lowered the emergency ladder from the Trader Joe's. Said he heard gunshots in the store. People started to panic. And then he immediately knew, he was in an area off the main floor where customers were. He knew about an emergency ladder that could be deployed, and he immediately rushed for that. He deployed it, gathered up as many people as he could, and he's one of the people that we now see in the video that was lowered down. But that emergency ladder was inside the store, he says, and he actually deployed it and got some people out.
So there was a second floor that was used for business purposes only, where they were able to usher people up to, or what happened?
Yeah, he didn't want to be specific on the exact location of this. It was an area that was off the main floor, stock area, if you will. But he was very adamant that shots were fired in the store. I did tell him we had spoken to other witnesses who had said there were shots fired outside. Could he have been misconstruing that? But he was very convinced that shots were fired in the store.
Did he have any information that anybody may have been hit, or was this somebody firing shots at police either inside or close to the front doors of the stores he was fleeing?
He didn't, because he only heard it. He did not have an eyewitness on what happened. He just said it was loud enough and he heard the screams that he knew if it wasn't inside the store, it was very close and threatening.
Did you know how many people were on? I shop at this particular Trader Joe's. There's always a lot of people there. Saturday afternoons is a busy shopping time. Did he have any sense of how many people were either in the store and how big the staff was?
He did not, although he said he was able to get a couple of people out on his own. He did try to round up other people, and for whatever reason, they said they weren't willing to go. What they were doing, if they were still in action within the store, unclear, but he did say he tried to get other people. They stayed behind, and so he got 2 or 3 people out.
All right. right, Jason, thank you very much. Jason Krivaric, he's a producer here with CNN who was over this way talking to folks who were sitting out of the store. So it sounds like some pretty heroic actions on the part of Trader Joe's employees at the moment, and hopefully this ends well for everybody. Very concerning, though, that shots were fired either very close to the store or inside of it. Alex?
Yeah, absolutely. Miguel, stay right there. We're going to come back to you very shortly. We've just gotten a bit more information about this male suspect. The LAPD is saying that this suspect, and we learned from eyewitnesses that he's a young African-American male. We are now being told by LAPD that he is in his late teens. We know that he had been involved in a shooting right before this incident at the Trader Joe's. We're now learning that it was what they are calling a family dispute where he shot his grandmother and a female. The suspect, in his late teens, then fled that location in Hollywood in his grandmother's vehicle, taking the other female victim with him. That is according to an LAPD spokesperson. We also know that a woman, and we don't know if it's the same one, but it might be fair to assume that the woman, that second victim, was taken to the hospital, we understand, in fair condition. I want to bring in Wallace Zines, who's a former New York police hostage negotiator. Mr. Zines, good to have you with us. We've been getting a steady stream of information from the LAPD. They are not disputing the president's characterization that this is a hostage situation, but the language that they are using is that this young suspect, in his teens we now know, has barricaded himself out inside this Trader Joe's. So knowing that language, what do you glean from that?
Knowing that language, first of all, it is a hostage situation. As long as there are people inside Trader Joe's and cannot get out, and the hostage taker has control of the interior of it, it is a hostage incident. Also, keep in mind, there may have been people that have gotten out of the location, but there are employees. That's a very large store. In my past experience, I once had a supermarket hostage incident, and employees were hiding in the large refrigerator areas down in the basement. They could be in the bathroom. There could be a lot of people, even shoppers could be in the location that we don't know about. So right now, until we can prove differently, that is the LAPD hostage team, we're going to consider this a hostage incident. Now, it's very different than a barricade situation. You're not going to go in there and make a dynamic entry, but there are some things that are very important that hostages should always know. And when you're in a situation like that, the first 10 to 30 minutes of any hostage incident, we call that fight or flight. That is when the hostage taker is looking for a place where he or she could be safe. The police are looking for cover and containment when they get there. And the hostages are all looking for a place to be safe. That's when most of the injuries happen, because people are in an excited mode. It's the fight or flight situation. Now, the other thing that's so important, if you are a hostage inside a location like that, you got to remember, number one, speak when you're spoken to. Don't become a person to start talking to the hostage taker. Secondly, hostage takers do not want sick individuals. If you have a medical condition, make sure you tell the hostage taker that you do have a serious medical condition. Those are usually the first people that are let out. Also, remember, one of the most important things, if a negotiation starts with the hostage taker that's in there right now, and a conversation starts with the negotiator and the hostage, then they may want to talk to one of the hostages inside the location to get some credibility. Always remember to always give yes and no answers. Another thing that's so important is that if the police decide to make what they call a dynamic entry, that is, they go in to make a apprehension of the hostage taker, the most important thing is all hostages that are in there should always hit the ground, stay on the ground low, because police will always look for the largest mass of that individual. Now, let's get down to the other part of this. What's very important is, have they started a negotiation with the hostage taker? In most hostage incidents, you want to get a dialogue going. You want to be able to get credibility between you and the hostage taker. You want to start to get a dialogue. There are different ways. The police have a lot of techniques in the hostage negotiation program where they could find out if he has a cell phone. We do know that there was a family dispute at his house where he lived, and I'm sure they were able to get a cell phone number. And what they'll try and do is start communications with him. Another thing that's very important, you've got to have an inner perimeter. And as you said earlier, that they were moving the crowds back, that's important because the only people that will be allowed inside the inner perimeter will be the SWAT team, the emergency service personnel, and they'll also have the negotiators. The negotiators work in three-person teams. They work with the negotiator. They work with a coach who sits next to the negotiator and gets information and intelligence from the floater who goes out and deals with the law enforcement personnel that are out there who are gathering intelligence. If a negotiation starts, they're going to start to talk with him and find out what his position is, what his needs are. We understand that he is needed. And also keep in consideration that he's in Trader Joe's where you have all emergency, you have a pharmaceutical area there, you have food there. So this can be a very long event. So you got to be able to also realize that it's going to be a very long event on your side, and that's why you have to also have your reserve of other negotiators available should this be an ongoing thing. But remember, the longer it takes to negotiate, the better chances you have of having a successful outcome.
Right. Well, this incident started around 4.5 hours ago. Mr. Zines, stay with us. I just want to welcome our viewers here in the U.S. and around the world. We are continuing to watch breaking news out of Los Angeles. There is a hostage situation underway at a Trader Joe's grocery store in the Silver Lake area of Los Angeles. A strong police presence has surrounded this store. We understand from LAPD that a gunman has barricaded himself inside. There are people who are inside with him, and that makes it, as our experts have been telling us, a hostage situation. There have been no reports of any deaths. There has been a report of one injury, according to law enforcement there, a young woman who was taken to the hospital in fair condition. As I mentioned, this started around 4.5 hours ago, so 1:30 p.m. local time in Los Angeles, when the suspect, who is a young African-American male in his late teens, shot his grandmother and another young woman. The LAPD says that he then fled in his grandmother's car with the young woman. The police then followed him. The car crashed into a pole. At that point, the suspect exited the vehicle with his gun, started firing at officers, and fled here into this Trader Joe's. And that is where we are now. I want to go to CNN law enforcement analyst, the former assistant director of the U.S. Marshal's Office, Art Roderick. Art, good to have you with us. So as you're watching this situation, we've been using the words barricaded, we've been using the words hostage situation, but we've just learned also that this was a young man in his teens who was willing to shoot his grandmother. So in your mind, does that make it even more dangerous for the people inside? You know, this young man is clearly trying to, probably freaking out and just trying to decide what to do. What do you think is going on inside his head and in terms of the interaction between him and the law enforcement outside?
Well, I have to tell you, Mr. Zines gave a big breakdown of what occurs from the hostage negotiation side. I worked on the tactical side, so I can tell you that the tactical teams there are looking at the interior layout of the facility. The one key part that they have is they know the motive here. They know that this individual was involved earlier in a domestic situation, so that's a big key as to what's occurring here. And usually what SWAT teams are always worried about is, okay, what's the motive here? What's going on? We can think back to a lot of other hostage or barricade situations, and it's always about the motive, and that's exactly what they know right up front, what the motive is. So the TAC teams are getting ready. They're coordinating with the hostage negotiators as to when it comes time, if it's going to come to that time, to make a hard entry into that Trader Joe's. Now, it sounds like individuals are coming out, which is a good thing. It looks like a lot of people might have sheltered in place. We don't know, but we know immediately he had taken a particular individual as a hostage from the original incident with his grandmother. So he does have somebody that he's got in his custody right now, and the negotiators are working through that process while the TAC team is getting ready for the extreme plan if they have to. Okay, how do we make this hard entry into this Trader Joe's?
Right. Art, stay with us. I want to go back to our national correspondent, Miguel Marquez, on the scene there in Silver Lake. Miguel, what are you learning?
I just spoke to a security guard who was there when the gunman showed up along with the police. He said that they were right on him. They were chasing him down. They went down a side street. I want to show you sort of down this area here. On the far side of that Trader Joe's sign, you can see there's a small side street. It was in there that he got stuck. He crashed. He then ran into the parking lot. 2 shots, says the security guard, were fired by the suspect at police, and then police fired back at least 4 shots. That's when the suspect went inside the store. The security guard saying, unarmed security guard, saying he was about 3 feet away from him. He just looked at him and went right into the store. People began to pour out of the store, both through the front and through the back doors. It is not clear to them, though, how many people may have been trapped in there with the suspect. He said that police were literally there within seconds because they were chasing him right up to the door of the Trader Joe's. So clearly this is somebody who was not planning this, and this is all on the fly right now, and a very obviously dangerous situation because it is not clear how many, if any, people are trapped in there with this individual. Alex?
Right. The number of people still inside is unknown. Hopefully a good sign that the gunman just looked at this security guard and went right past and didn't stop anybody else from leaving. We heard moments ago from Los Angeles Police Officer Sergeant Barry Montgomery. He talked about what led to this situation that we were watching unfold at Trader Joe's. Take a listen.
The Los Angeles Fire Department, first of all, it's David Ortiz, D-A-V-I-D, O-R-T-I-Z, Public Information Officer, Los Angeles Fire Department. Los Angeles Fire Department was dispatched to assist LAPD at 3:30 this afternoon to the 2700 block of Hyperion Avenue in the Silver Lake community. Thus far, the LA Fire Department has transported 1 female patient in stable condition. At this moment, we have 18 ambulances assigned to this incident with over 100 firefighters. That is all the information I have to release at this time. Thank you.
Right now, we know we have people inside. We simply don't know how many. Again, very early. This is preliminary information, and we're trying to bring this to an end. At this time, we simply don't know. Okay, again, we have our resources here to provide assistance once we can get in there and clear this place. But right now, we have a barricaded suspect, and he is armed, and we can't get in there right now.
What is your biggest challenge right now?
Again, trying to get the suspect to surrender and bring this to a peaceful conclusion.
Barry, have you been able to get some of the people out of that store, customers, workers?
Yes, an unknown number of people have been removed. Their status as far as injury, I don't know. I got to leave that to fire. I can tell you now, no firefighters and no police officers were injured in this incident. Again, ma'am, those are details I simply don't have right now. Again, we're simply trying to bring this to a conclusion. This is preliminary information. We're going to provide many updates. Right now, this is something for you to get out so the people can know. Now, we do want family and relatives to know there is a family reunification center, and that is at Northeast Police Station. That address is 3353 North San Fernando Road. 3353 North San Fernando Road. Okay? Thank you, guys.
So you guys, real quickly, we got to let you know the fire department is...
All right, we've been listening there to Sergeant Barry Montgomery of the LAPD talking to reporters about the latest at this Trader Joe's hostage situation. He says that there is a suspect barricaded inside. We know also that this is a young man in his teens who shot his grandmother and another young woman around 1:30 p.m. local time. The police, Sergeant Montgomery there, did not know how many people were inside still and does not know how many people have been removed. We have thankfully been seeing people coming out of that store over the course of the past 2 hours, but LAPD doesn't know how many or in what condition they are in. Right now, they're saying that they cannot get inside. They are trying to get this young suspect to surrender without further incident. I want to go to Charles Ramsey, who is with us, one of a number of law enforcement analysts who are here with us watching this unfold. Charles, what did you make of what Sergeant Montgomery said right there?
Well, I mean, there are still some unanswered questions. Obviously, you don't know how many people are inside, either being actually held hostage or just hiding from the gunman. This is a domestic-related incident. At least that's
Charles,
what kicked it off.
Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt. We're going to go quickly. We're going to get right back to you, but we're going to go to an eyewitness who's right there. Let's listen.
I decided I just didn't want to wait there any longer, and went to the ladder, finished putting it out the window, was able to get a SWAT officer's attention, indicated I wanted to go out down the ladder, and he gave me a thumbs up, and I went down the ladder, and 3 of my coworkers followed after and got them out.
Sean, you're talking about the layout of the store. Give us a little more detail of from the time you see. Another coworker was telling me he saw at least 2 men come inside. One was armed, and then he started firing out toward police. Can you share with us where you were in relation to that? It's upstairs, right?
I was on the ground floor, but all the way in the back of the store, in our back storage area.
There were other customers there as well, or were you able?
Store?
Right.
Correct. I mean, our back storage area. No, only employees are allowed.
And do you know if some of those employees are still there, or all of them that were with you were able to get out?
I have no idea, ma'am. I have no idea at this time.
Okay, Sean, thanks so much for talking. Sure. What's your last name?
Sean, we're live right now, John. Sean, you know, for our live broadcast right now, you talked about the window. Is that a window that opens on its own, or did you have to break through the window with a hammer that you had with you?
No, just raise the window up.
Gotcha. And when you made contact with the SWAT members down below, was it eye contact or were there verbal exchange?
Eye contact. I waved my hand. Once I saw him look at me, I just kind of pointed out the window and down the ladder, and he gave me a thumbs up and proceeded from there.
Was it a chain ladder, rope ladder? Gotcha. And you were able to help a few more employees get out as well?
Yes, sir.
We had heard from one of my sources that some employees also locked themselves in the freezer as well for safety. Do you know anything about that?
I do not, sir.
Okay. Well, thank you for being so gracious to talk to us on live TV like this. I'm so sorry to meet you like this, and I'm so thankful that you're okay and your coworkers are okay. So thank you for being so gracious. Just another harrowing story out here of someone who had to.
All right. Well, a very calm and level-headed store employee there, saying that he and several of his coworkers were able to make it out of the Trader Joe's store via a chain ladder. They were able to climb down and made contact with LAPD on the ground. I want to go back to Charles Ramsey. Charles, we were just talking about what Sergeant Montgomery from the LAPD said in that brief statement to the press, that there's still the young suspects barricaded inside with an unknown number of hostages. And they're trying to figure out how to get him to surrender. So now we are several hours into this. What is going through the LAPD's mind there on the ground? What are they specifically saying to this suspect to get him to come out without harming himself or others?
Well, I mean, these are very skilled negotiators. LAPD has some of the best negotiators anywhere. So I'm very confident that they're doing everything they can to try to talk this person down, to get him to surrender peacefully, to not harm anyone else. They may have told him that the people that he shot have not died, so that, you know, he certainly doesn't think he's committed a double murder. This seems like a domestic. I don't know if he has access to a TV. He could be listening to coverage. He could be watching what's going on. That's why it's important that media not show any police movements if they do decide to come in case this guy is paying attention. But they're trying to calm him down and trying just to do everything they possibly can to talk him out so that no one else gets hurt, so that everybody gets out of there alive. Everybody, including him.
Back to Art Broderick. Art, how do you make this decision when enough is enough, it's gone on too long, we need to go in with the SWAT teams, knowing that there are people inside and you could be risking their lives? Because clearly you can't always wait until everybody has come out.
Right. No, there is a specific point where you have to make that decision. But I think in this particular case, because this was a target of opportunity for this particular individual, in other words, he didn't decide all of a sudden today to go take hostages at Trader Joe's. I mean, this was a car chase, and it just was a target of opportunity that was in front of him, and he went ahead and took advantage of going into that store with his hostage and possibly have other hostages with him. Now, there will come a point with the negotiation. I mean, and the whole part of that, the whole part of this is that as long as he's talking to the negotiators, they will take as much time as needed to go ahead and try to peacefully talk him out. He has to make some overt act, some violent act towards these hostages before the SWAT team will go in, or the negotiator recognizes that he's done and he's reached a point where in a very short period of time this individual could do a violent act against the hostages. So there's a lot in play here, but I agree with Chief Ramsey that LAPD is absolutely one of the best in the country at this. They have very experienced hostage negotiators, and they have excellent SWAT teams out there in Los Angeles.
And when you've got federal law enforcement officers out there, who's making that call? Yes. LAPD still leading the charge on this one?
It would be LAPD. This is a local jurisdiction issue. Federal law enforcement, when they show up, they'll provide whatever support is needed. There's no violation of any federal crime at this point in time that we know of, so this is really an LAPD operation.
Bob Baer, if I could ask you to get inside this young man's head for a second, and I know that's very difficult. If as we heard from our correspondent Miguel Marquez, that the shooter went in, did not shoot, was really only shooting at other police officers, did not shoot the security guard, did not shoot people as they were coming out, was clearly trying to hole up inside that store, and now probably has a sense, although not as well as we do, that, tell you what, gentlemen, stay with me. We are actually going to take a quick break, and then we'll talk a lot more about this on the other side. Stay with CNN.
This phone is so slow.
What's it going to take for you to switch?
I don't know.
What do you need, a selfie?
Sure.
Hey, Google, take a selfie.
It can do that?
Get up to $750 back when you get 2 LG G7 ThinkQs at T-Mobile. Seeing is revealing. Seeing is believing. Your sight is a gift. Help protect it with a yearly exam from your eye doctor. Find an eye doctor today at thinkaboutyouryes.com.
I'm Ray, and I quit smoking with Chantix. I tried cold turkey, I tried the patch, they didn't work for me. I didn't think anything was going to work for me until I tried Chantix.
Chantix, along with support, helps you quit smoking.
Chantix reduced my urge to smoke. I needed that to quit.
When you try to quit smoking, with or without Chantix, you may have nicotine withdrawal symptoms. Some people had changes in behavior or thinking, aggression, hostility, agitation, depressed mood, or suicidal thoughts or actions with Chantix. Serious side effects may include seizures, new or worse heart or blood